Oh, you think you wanna start shit? I ain't even from this world, just call me Martian. I could kick you down a hole just like a Spartan. Fuck with me and you will never be pardoned. Yeah. Push myself to my limits, I'm in it to win it. Forget the beginning, it's now that you're living. Don't be forgiven, don't fear what you're missing. A mind like a killer, you need to be driven. 10 steps ahead, you prepared in the head? Think this shit through or just swing it instead? I'm tired of working so hard for this bread. I'm hungry as fucking fucked up in the head. I'm sick of these lazy bums, they all get nothing done. Waiting to have someone take care of everyone. I don't need anyone, this shit ain't any fun. It takes hard work to make yourself a penny, son. And I will not be the one with regrets. And I will not hear the doubt or the threats. And I'm not one to ever forget. So what's the fuck out or I'm coming for you next. Shit. I ain't even from this world, just call me Martian. I could kick you down a hole just like a Spartan. Fuck with me and you will never be pardoned. Yeah. Oh, you think you wanna start shit? I ain't even from this world, just call me Martian. I could kick you down a hole just like a Spartan. Fuck with me and you will never be pardoned. Yeah. It's been like driving me crazy, these people complacent. Too many are lazy but wanna see changes. You can all hate me, you're slaves to these wages. You need to be crazy to head out for greatness. Don't want excuses, I wanna see movement. Just watch like a student and see how they do it. Need some improvement, we all need solutions. So be the one who could just stack up and do it. You ain't never gonna stop me, I'll be found. Climb my way to the top like a rebound. I'ma be the one to pop with a new sound. I'ma be the one to drop MCs down. I'm off in the hills with this shit. Think that I'm lost but I'm bound to this bitch. Think that I'm not what I say that I is. Think that I got what they need when I spit. Start shit. I ain't even from this world, just call me Martian. I could kick you down a hole just like a Spartan. Fuck with me and you will never be pardoned. Yeah. Oh, you think you wanna start shit? I ain't even from this world, just call me Martian. I could kick you down a hole just like a Spartan. Fuck with me and you will never be pardoned. Yeah.
There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, the Church of Failure, and with me, as always, my trusty co-host, Ayrton McCartney. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I am fascinated by this guy Cartoon invited to the Discord.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's why I was late to the call. I was reading all the stuff he was posting.
Yeah, I have to refrain so that I can. I can catch up after the show, but otherwise I'll just be completely distracted the entire time. And we all know that we all get our Corona info directly from Daddy Jim.
Oh, naturally.
So, anyway, with us again tonight for the continuation of the 300 review, Novelbro. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Just sparked up a cigarette and I'm ready to go.
All right. So we left off at the beginning of chapter 3 of 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Somewhere around that region, yeah.
So, yeah. Well, was it chapter 3? No. They actually got to the. I guess I should take the stream start soon off.
Which I really like that opening card, by the way.
Oh, stream start soon, fellow boomers.
Yes.
Well, I'm just prepared to make audio issues a weekly thing. Like it's kind of my shtick now, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to be muted at least once a week. But anyway, So, Captain Weep, good to see you, buddy. I saw you were doing a cozy stream earlier. So,
Yeah, I managed to hop onto the chat for that. Well, not to the boys' chat, but I was definitely tuned in for that anyway.
I was asleep. I started day drinking about 3. Took a nap. It was great.
A nice siesta.
Well, I didn't want to be up all night drinking tonight, so I was like, well, let's see. It's Sunday. The liquor stores are closed. I can start drinking now, and be great. I just won't have any alcohol to drink during the show, so I won't be shit faced. A little preventative measure,
Oh, naturally. At least you clean out the pipes that way.
Right, yeah. Not sure which pipes exactly you talk about getting cleaned out by drinking, but we'll leave it at that.
Whiskey does translate to the water of life, so.
That's right. That is right.
There's only one way to water the whistle anyway. You got to drink.
Arcanus in the chat. Hail Gospel, hail Scottish Rambot. Fuck Ayrton. He didn't actually say that. I added that last bit in. He didn't say fuck Ayrton. That was me. That was all me.
All right, fair enough. Well, bless his merry heart.
But we already got a donation to Ayrton's lunch money fund. Hail Novelbro for being a good lad on the stream. Be sure to shout you lads out when I can. Well, thank you, buddy. We appreciate that. It's another Arizona iced tea.
You were good.
It's another Arizona iced tea for Ayrton's fun there.
All right.
Nice. Anyway, I'll be right back just now, guys. Just quickly jump into the toilet before we really get.
All right. A little more information than we needed, but we'll go with it. So, do we have any?
I only mentioned the location, not the act itself.
Oh God, now I'm going to be wondering what he's doing. God damn you, Novelbro!
All of a sudden, we're just going to hear coming from his mic.
Oh God! Turn it off! Turn the mic off! So do we have any housekeeping to keep up with?
Let me check.
What button is that, Weeb? The donation button? I mean, you did say you wanted one, and we're never gonna get monetized on YouTube, so. But yeah, you said you wanted one, so I put one up there. That's what we did. We even made sure that we could link it to a PayPal. Have any of those come through yet, or are they on like a 2-week waiting limit like they were on mine?
Yeah, no, they come through immediately. Like I get an email notification.
Okay.
Every time one comes through.
All right. Word.
That's funny because it says Captain Weeb Inc.
Look, don't dox the man. From building the corporation, that's But no, anytime you show up in the chat, I do make sure that I pull it up because you pays it, I saves it. Anyway, is there any housekeeping to keep up with while Novelbro is indisposed? Watch the fight last night.
Looks like for the most part.
Watch the fight last night. Wilder.
At least
Fury.
in the show suggestions, we looked at most of it. Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, the Wilder and Fury fight last night. Most of you dipped out for that, but I got a little crazy, got a little carried away, woke everyone in my house up because it was that man.
And I'm back.
Novelbro can attest to this. Wilder got his fucking lights rocked.
So did this fucking eardrum. That must have been one hell of a punch.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't stand up straight. He was holding onto the ropes. I mean, it came to my attention later that his fucking corner threw the towel in for him. Like, Jesus Christ,
yeah,
that man took a beating.
There was a little bit of synchronicity there with the ref, though. Apparently the ref was about to do it, but the towel came in anyway.
Yeah. Well, it was the Gypsy King came out and he was fucking swinging. Oh yeah, I wish my head movement was as good as Fury's. Yeah, that man moves.
Absolutely.
That man moves like a fucking beast to be as big as he is. And I mean, he is huge. He was rocking. He was close to. He was close to 300 pounds last night at that fight.
Thereabouts, he was pushing the higher weights, but I think that was all muscle. He was clearly just fucking going for it in the gym, absolutely, just so we could get that extra power, so we could sit on his punches for a change. Really sit on and swing right into them proper.
It was a little impromptu, Weeb. I was actually looking for the results and saw that the fight was just about to start. So we all quickly paid for the pay-per-view and started watching it and commentating on it. Nobody was really interested on our side, but I enjoyed it. It was a good time.
That was fun.
But anyway, yeah, that was a beating, and I mean it pretty much guarantees a third fight, right? Like they have to give Wilder a rematch after that.
So. I'd say so. The first one ended in a draw. The second one ended in a win for Tyson Fury. I mean, surely Wilder's got to say, like, oh, come on, surely I've got to get a win, so we can, at least get some sort of closure on the trilogy, They're going to be gunning for that, like, with everything. They're going to try and get that matchup, even if it means having to get some sort of tune-up fight to get them there. Like, what happened, like after the first fight, Tyson Fury had to fight Otto Wallin and somebody else, I forget the other name, but then the rematch, there was a bit of time between then. So if there is going to be a rematch, it's going to be a little bit of time between then, and I think Anthony Joshua is going to want his chance.
Just to confirm something in the chat here, absolutely, we paid. We would never condone using a website like crackstreams.com. We would never condone using goodstream.pw.
Never.
We pay for
Not a million years.
Our pay-per-view events on this show. We would never put on our eye patches and board a ship and pirate a stream.
God damn it, get your sports subscriptions on your TV fucking boxes. Easy as that, lads. Come on.
Right,
What's that, an extra tenner a month? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it was only $80 for the event. We both bought 2 showings of it just to make sure we would have a quality stream to watch during the event. So in total, we all paid $160 for one fight. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah.
We definitely
Totally.
don't condone using those methods of pirating streams. You're a degenerate if you do that, in the words of Ethan, Ralph, and Bibble.
Exactly. We're a red coat. Fuck those pirates. Arr.
Right. We don't agree with anything like tea going into the harbor or anything like that. We pay for our streams and we drink our tea like good Englishmen here. Anyway, with that out of the way, I guess we should probably just jump back into 300. You said you had a ton of notes left to. Do you remember where you wanted to pick up?
All right, let's have a little look-see here, shall we? I also have a little something there here I put into show suggestions. What an actual Spartan would have looked like in comparison to what they are depicted like in the comic. That might be a good read.
Now, this would have been a commanding Spartan, right? Why did he have Betty Boop on his shield?
Betty Boop on his shield. I believe that might be Medusa in her Flizzine form, maybe.
You can't fool me. I am well versed in cartoons and comics. That is absolutely Betty Boop. You can't tell me any different. But this is a.
They even had waifus back in the Spartan days.
That's right. Now this is a commander. I do know that because the feathering on the hat was turned sideways. Or was that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the general or the leaders, so you could identify him at the battlefield.
Certainly, he'd probably be in charge of at least 1,000 of them if he was, in a big army like that,
So You've got the shield. They did pretty well with that. I don't see the grooves on the shield, but typically your commander would not be involved in the phalanx, so he may not need those grooves that we were talking about last night.
Probably about 2 ranks in, although on major charges, if they were going to be moving in formation to advance, he would need to lead at the front and at the centre so people on either side behind him and all that can hear him, because he needs to be louder than everybody in the formation.
Right.
So he needs to be right in the acoustic centre, so to speak. In that formation, his voice will just ring amongst all the other shields on the inside.
Okay.
But he needs to be at the front for it, basically.
Yeah, so
for most of it. But when it gets really hot, he needs to come a couple of ranks back so he can push people in, give people motivation, or tell them that they need to be doing a little bit more here and that there. He still needs to be in formation for that, but not in such a high risk that he dies so quickly.
And now we were talking. I think where we left off was around the time where we were talking about the religious leaders and how they were paid off by the Persians, which Novelbro is the resident history guy. We have another chat here from Weeb Press Secretary. He wants to apologize for any accusation. Here is some hush money. Take the settlement, or my friend Tony will break your legs like trash spaghetti. Wait, don't read that last part. Sorry, too late. Thank you, Press Secretary. Yeah, we will. But we discussed last night, right around the end of the review, that this more than likely would have never happened. You never would have paid off the religious leaders of the Spartans. They are depicted here in a light that seems historically inaccurate, but again, history is written by the winners, so how the fuck do you know, right?
Exactly. However, there are some clear indicators of what would have happened at the time, because quite a lot of people like to gloat about the details.
Well, one thing that gets me is, how does a warrior king, so to speak, of Leonidas actually have to kowtow to a religious leader? Like, is that actually a thing, or could he have literally, like, if he knew that they were corrupt, could he not pass judgment on them?
Sometimes mostly they wouldn't even need to have to, because there's a set map to stay within, and if they walk out of that, hypothetically, that they have to actually ask, like, where do we go? Because sometimes not even asking permission, it's actually asking, like, what are the odds going to be like for me up here? Are they likely? Are they this? Are they that? And more than likely, the oracle and the E4s would be giving you the bookies odds, like saying, I mean, you could, but I really wouldn't recommend it, because you know what Aries is like in that,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I don't know. It just, that part seemed a little weird to me, just as far as the religious aspect of it. Like, I can't.
Well, these are deeply superstitious people, remember, back in these.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't know. I can't imagine, like, a warrior king like they're depicting Leonidas here to bow down to anybody, much less a religious leader. But what I
This is why I had my doubts that it happened in such a way. You know what I mean? But I think they did it in such a way so that it would seem like I think this was historically done. So I think this is all been told in this way so that we, so many hundreds or thousands of years later, would still be telling it like they told it back then. So there may be a bit of, like you say, a bit of embellishment there to make it seem like Leonidas had a harder choice than he actually had, if you know what I mean. Whereas I think in all reality, it was probably the easiest choice that anybody could have made at the time.
Yeah, and just to kind of catch back up, like I said, I think everybody's familiar with the movie storyline, which, I mean, it's pretty true to the book. There's a couple of pieces, like we talked about, that didn't actually come through real well, but for the most part, the stories the story's fairly consistent. The one thing that kind of got
Yeah,
me
however,
is go ahead.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I was going to say that I've got a funny little thing like transferring history. Well, the movie, the book, the history. Like the age that Leonidas died at, 480 BC, in the film, it seems like he would have been like what 40. You know, Gerard Butler didn't really play the older king. You know, he seemed like a younger, like maverick king. You know,
Yeah,
like 40 seemed like passable for the movie. In the book, he's like about what anything between 54 to 56 years old. Do you want
right.
to know how old he actually was in like history? He was
25.
born in five. No. He was born 540 BC and died 480 BC. He was 60 years old and still kicking ass.
Oh, damn.
Nice. Oh shit, boys, we did it. Thanks to the shout out from Captain Weeb. Um, we are at
You.
we're at 301 subscribers, I believe.
Did
What
this
was the
just change?
chances? Holy
Yeah,
shit.
Damn.
yeah,
302.
we just got a little bit of a bump. What's going on, Mr. Bag Noodles? Nice profile image there.
Hot damn.
I dig it.
But anyway, so he was 60. Now
Yeah.
here's another question you might be, because you kind of alluded to this in the chat before we even started the first episode. The page that I've got pulled up on screen, can you see that?
Yeah, the one where you've got them all like as a big group. You've got the guy walking along with the spear along his shoulder, and he's just resting his arms on it, and that. Yeah, that's a cool wee shot. That actually.
Uh,
I believe the other individuals would have been more armoured as well. While we're on this fucking topic, see that Corinthian helmet tip back. The way they're tipping those helmets back. Sorry, mate, they would not even be allowed or even be able to do so. It would start falling off the side. It would start fucking flipping down the back of their head. Absolutely no way they could keep their helmets like that on their head and like while they're on the move.
right.
Like, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense at all. But besides that, they've got the good shinnies and the knee guard, the greaves, yeah, mostly, yeah. But like, why there's always cock and balls out, man? Like, dude could dress back then, man.
I mean, I don't know. I think this might just be playing on the whole all Greeks are boy fuckers trope.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
they were, but
hey, here's a fact about sexuality back in those days. Want me to give you a little bit of dose on the?
please do.
Yeah, they were basically they were unashamed metrosexuals. They used to like put makeup on their faces as like adult men and stuff like that, and perfume themselves and get all the twinks in the court and bring them all like fucking the milkshakes better than yours.
Oh, now
I mean, that kind of makes sense for kind of that time frame, right? You know, it's still kind of early human society and stuff, and discovering the finer things in life and whatnot. So it kind of makes sense that they would be like that, especially with the philosophical revolution happening sort of in this time frame.
One reason I brought this
No,
page up.
You go.
One reason I brought this page up, though, is you can see a lot of differences in the types of spears and the types of equipment these guys had. How historically accurate is this?
Now let's see. Like for this, the book is a lot more accurate than the film, because they're giving the detail for the 7,000, which is actually the correct number of people there, and however that's including the 300 of Sparta. But yes, a lot of dudes from all over Greece, some professionals, some not, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the vast majority, especially the main column, they were basically mostly well organized and definitely well trained individuals. and those that weren't were among the largest number, basically. And they were the ones helping at the back, basically filling in any wee gaps that were left, or even some, in one case, guarding the pass that would have fucked them. You know, that wee goat path thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there was people stationed there, but it was agreed that the Spartans would give a delay in action and allow the other 7,000, or those surviving of those 7,000, to actually get their arses home and, you know, send out some warnings out all over the place and stuff. And of those people, 3 Spartans were included to go back to their homeland. One of them being this narrator, who, by the way, for a Spartan speaks just a little too much. But we'll just leave that on that.
Well, he was the Delios is the narrator, which we'll come to find out. He was the one who
that's the one.
he was the story.
I think
he
that
was
was
the
his actual
storyteller.
name as well.
Yeah.
That's the one, the narrator, yeah. I think Delios actually did exist, but I believe he was one of the individuals who hanged himself.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah, one dude decided to stay alive and try and recapture some of his glory, but he ended up doing a suicidal charge into the Persian line at the big old battle at the end that they were talking about.
Yeah.
He was actually. Yeah, he was reported to do the war cry, "Ow, ow," and then running right into the battle on his own. But apparently that was enough to, light a fire under all the Greeks that saw it. They were like, "Holy shit, who is that Spartan?" Oh, that was the one that was, shamed amongst us all. We could recognize what's on his shield. That's his father's shield. His father was a G, but he was the one. He was one of those that had to go and pass the message on for Leonidas, so he had to leave Thermopylae. And all the others had to die, so apparently everybody hated him, like spurned him from society. Like, oh, I told you, Spartan society is brutal. Fair enough.
So even though he was following orders, he was still shunned.
Yeah, on a local level, not just on a court level, on a local level. Everybody in town was like, "It's that fucking cunt again." Like, holy shit, eh? That's brutal, but there you have it.
Dillard in the chat, he says the movie was superior to the comic. I disagree, sir. But he said, didn't somebody already make a comic about these guys? Yes, this is Frank Miller writing and art. Forget who was the colorer again. I didn't look again today. Lynn Varley. Yeah, Lynn Varley. But this is the end of chapter 2, where the Persians are attacked, seemingly by Poseidon, I believe, is the general consensus. But they are attacked at sea by the sea.
That storm happened.
Yeah, and the Spartans just kind of start going ape shit and enjoying themselves, hooting and hollering. And Leonidas is just thinking to himself, like, "You fucking idiot! They're just gonna send 1 million more this way."
Apparently, this is actually how things happened at the time as well, because it was all the other Greeks that were celebrating, like, yes, first it's Salamis with the Athenians, now it's this storm, this next load of guns is gonna be fucking easy, yes. And apparently, it eventually got a few of these Spartan guards going, and then it got quite infectious. But apparently, Leonidas and the leader of the Black Guard of the Thespiae, they both were like quiet, deadly quiet. Apparently the only ones who really knew what was going to happen. So it wasn't just Leonidas, but it was one of the dudes that was dressing all this smart black shit. The one who would be wearing the cool uppity one. They'd be looking across at each other going, "Oh, fuck, here we go."
Yeah.
But in all sense and historical accuracy, yeah, that storm actually did happen because it nearly destroyed Rhodes.
Jesus. All right. And then we get into one of the more controversial parts of the movie. We are introduced to, and I forget the guy's name, but the deformed Spartan.
Oh yes, this Ephialtes character, who, by the way, in historical terms, was never Spartan, never, obviously he would never have survived the selection, even if and by the way, his parents would have been would have been kept amongst the other people who would have been looking at the doctor types and stuff. They'd be kept they'd be kept in with each other. They wouldn't have much choice in the matter. That whole selection thing, and from birth to that, it was all really really strict. Like, so much bureaucracy had, like, many people watching it. There was no way they would have been able to escape with that. Sorry, folks, but
So this whole story arc, like this whole part of the book where he tries to prove himself and redeem his family's name, it's basically just complete and utter bullshit.
sadly so, yes.
Okay,
But here's a little bit of lore on the real Ephialtes. He was a Thessalian shepherd who was just minding his own business, but he was walking. He was basically taking his sheep or whatever out, and then Leonidas spotted him first, and he decided to go and talk to him. And he says, there's a goat path up there. Like they could easily slip past it, and I'm about to take my goats in that direction. As soon as I take my goats down that direction, they're gonna know there's a path up here. And Leonidas still said, "All right." Because there's nothing, obviously, with a civilian, there's nothing that he could do. But he thought that, like out of the 7,000, there could be people that could watch that, and they did have people watch that.
Right.
Until the last second.
Captain Weeb on the Streamlabs. Congrats on 300, gentlemen. 300 subs for the 300 comic. That's I was thinking about that. We definitely appreciate it, man. We've come a long way from where did we start? Like 80, something like that.
Hail the Weeb, hail the Weeb, hail the Weeb.
So we definitely appreciate everybody who's come and gone in that time frame. We look forward to continuing to grow with you guys and talk about more comics and comic things.
5-hour stream talking about the Myers lawsuit.
That's what it means. Yeah, that is what it means. Oh God, we're gonna be so drunk by the end of that. I'm gonna have to take the day after that off from work.
I'm just gonna drink a whole pot of coffee during that show.
Mixed with
that might be the best policy for the both of you, actually.
No.
You might actually get through something there and go, fuck. This is so much lawsuit to get.
I didn't say there wouldn't be whiskey in that coffee, Novelbro.
That's what I was getting at.
Who do you think I am?
I never said yes or no to any of that. That's completely up to you.
But anyway, so the goat path thing, that actually was historically accurate. And was that the undoing of the 300? Because we learned later on at the climax of the 5th issue that the Persians did find out about the goat path, and they scattered. Who was it? The Pothili? How do you pronounce it? The ones that start with P, I believe, are the ones he set to guard the goat trail.
Thespians?
No, it's just P. P is in Paul.
No. Thessalians.
Oh, P.
Is that how you say that?
OP. Was it the one that? Say again. Could you write it out for me in the thingy chat?
I'll have to find it in the book again.
I'll look for it. Keep going with your.
But he said a specific army that weren't Spartans. Yes.
Oh.
The
right.
The two,
right, yeah.
The two that joined him were those in the Attilians.
Hold on. Let's bring that up so we can get ourselves right on this.
I'm shit at pronunciations. I can't even pronounce regular English words correctly. He brought Arcadians, and who was it? Yeah, they grew from the from Thespe, Thebes, Opus, Phocis, Phocis, and Malus.
Phocis.
Yeah, I believe those were the ones that he set to guard the goat path, and they were scattered at the first sign of trouble from the Persians. So it really kind of, it gives you an idea.
Actually, this is not quite true. I think their ultimate undoing was when they got all the 7,000 together, and all the surviving 7,000 together, including those that guarded the goat path, knowing what it meant, said, "Just go home. As for us," they actually literally decided that they would go for martyrdom. They would go for the old killing, like keep on killing until there was none of us left, basically. That
Yeah.
would be how they would operate from that point on. But they knew exactly what it meant. They were signing their own death warrant, but they'd embalmed and bathed their own bodies beforehand for the purpose. They knew they were going to die, but they knew that it would be senseless. Wasting 7,000 other Greeks along the way. And that
Right.
included those on the goat path, who were also backed up by Thracians. Funny thing about the Thracian matter is there's a few sources that could claim that there was Thracians on both sides of this battle or this war, because some escaped, some managed to get down south quick enough to reach the Spartans, and the rest having to at least enter into Persian service.
So
They were supposed to be the next line to go in after those that killed the Spartans, expecting more resistance, but they didn't know what was going on until they decided, fuck it, we'll take this goat path. Here's that guy coming over with those sheep. We'll just go over. We'll just assume that this is our fucking genius, when really, Spartans basically handed them the victory.
now, is there a count on how many Persians died at the hands of this 7,000 man army?
As far as I'm aware, it's about as close as you can get to about 65 to 70,000. They mowed through lots of them.
So
I mean,
it was an
lots
easy
of
it
them.
was an
They
easy
killed
10
at
to
least
1.
10 times them.
It was an easy 10 to 1 for every Greek that fell. There was 10 Persians basically.
Basically, it's about as close as you can get, and they still managed to hold their ground in. And if they did, I reckon if they did hold this 7,000, they could have easily held off the Persians at the Goat Pass with a messenger running back saying, "Shit, we need some backup." All right, send up some of the fucking gay thieving.
We're gonna fuck them.
Now is that a direct historical quote there, Novelbro?
No, that's just me putting myself in the eyes of a Leonidas that decided to keep them there. An alternate timeline. Leonidas send the boy lovers.
All right. So there was.
Oh, which one, sire? Which one, sire? Oh, sorry, I forget. There's quite a lot of them to the north of us. Not the Athenians. No, not those. No, the Thebans. Yeah, the pederasts. Yes, those ones.
8-year-olds, dude.
So
So-
that's how you got your hot prospect. Oh,
So with the fact that there were Greeks on the Persian side who had gone over, is that where the side the side storyline of betrayal kind of comes from? They just had to give it an interesting character to attribute it to.
nah. To start off with, I don't think those Thracians had much of a choice. But tell you what happened after that, though. The Spartans decided, fuck it, we'll side with the Persians in the Peloponnesian War by choice.
It just depends on what you're fighting for, then.
Yeah, if you're fighting against all the gays, I suppose you could go for the metrosexual indie rocker type. Like, yeah, dude, honestly, the liberties are so amazing. When are we going to go on invasion, man?
Let's see here. Oh yeah, there was the.
That's my view of Persians. Persians are just like this stupid little fucking half-wit indie kid of the fucking ancient world. Like, yeah, that makes fucking sense.
Now, a little further on in this chapter, they go through and they discuss, how how the Spartans would do training, and I can't pull that up because again the penises and whatnot. But Leonidas is following a group of men, and they're basically riding on the backs of other Spartans. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
man, that's an actual legit training exercise. That was a legit training exercise back then. It's so that you could be able to have the power to actually push on the line. Like if you're, that see the first battle, say in the movie where you see them all like squashed up against each other, shield to shield, like fuck that kind of pressure. Then you see them like going down, digging down, and using that fucking power that they've got inside them just to use explosive strength to push the line. That was actually taught and that was trained with the bodies of other Spartans.
Interesting. Now,
Like legit, put them on your shoulder and fucking walk with them up that fucking hill. Do you know what that hill's name was? Mount Taygetus. That's Taygetus. And there's a lot of mad history behind that mount, and there's a lot of mad lore behind it. But yeah, the Spartans was told to put their buddies, as you call them, your battle buddies, as they would call them in the force. Now, the one guy that you would do your monkey see, monkey do with. That dude would be over your shoulder one day, and you would be over his shoulder the next.
That hill that you're speaking of is only 7,700 feet tall.
Only.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, man.
not it's just a little stump in the front yard, really. I mean,
Yeah. How much?
Can
How
I say
high
this
is that
now?
in meters?
Yeah.
How high that is meters? By the way, I just want to know.
yeah. Go ahead.
I'm not carrying you up a mountain on my back, Church.
Well, then you're not a true Spartan, Ayrton. Do you want to be strong?
Ah, well. If you want to be real strong,
Now, here speaking
Maybe
of
if there
bodies,
was
Macedonian
Maybe if there was a
strong.
nice barrel of whiskey at the top.
speaking of
Oh yeah, that.
of bodies, though. Now, this is a scene that comes from the book and the movie itself. Did they really use the bodies of their enemies to mortar a defense wall?
It was actually not a defense wall, but something that they hoped the Persians could see from their camp as an insult. But yeah, everybody pitched in and pitched in.
All right. I mean, it just using a body as mortar. Like, I'm a sadistic fuck sometimes, and I wouldn't even think of that.
Yeah, nor would I. I would pile them up, and set them out to piles, and then set them ablaze, because that you have to do the cleanly thing and not catch any disease that way. So you got to burn them before the crows start getting a bit too excited, But yeah, they did that shit, and yeah, they eventually did light that bonfire.
So, this basically leads us to the coolest part of the story, and probably the best action sequence in the entire thing. Let's see if I can get this pulled up. This is going to be a couple of pages here, but after the deformed guy, what's going on, Greek? After the deformed guy jumps off a cliff on his own, they start to feel an earthquake. And Leonidas is like,
yeah, I like this.
That's not an earthquake. Everybody get to battle stations. And you just see the vast army of Persians. I mean, it's an endless as far as the eye can see. Now, again, the same as I asked before. What did you think of the historical accuracy of the equipment and the uniforms and such?
I was about to say, one of my last notes, I was about to say that the Persian array looks way more accurate in the comic, like way more. Right down to the shield designs. I can recognize like Hyrcanians with the weird, see the see the ones with the weird bits at the side that they would put their spears through and that. They're Hyrcanians.
Yeah.
And there's fucking, see the dudes on the fucking horses? Those are fucking Scythians, dude. Those were in service to Xerxes after having to pay a major reparations after fucking the last war between Scythia and Persia, thanks to fucking Cyrus the Great, who actually got his head, his skull, which had the skin and all that boiled off it, and the Scythian queen whose son had been like murdered, she had Cyrus the Great's skull dipped in blood and said that now that you have had your fill of blood, Cyrus, how do you feel? Like, imagine the reparations you got to pay for that shit. Like, you're gonna pay like serious gold for that. You wonder, like, do you think that gold would have went to the ephors, or do you think that gold would have went to the Scythians? Let's be honest here.
I mean, I honestly, like I said, you're the history guy. I have no idea who actually held power in that time.
It's a weird old timeline. I can't even remember who the Scythian king is at this time. But all I know is those spears at the side of the saddle, the fucking the arrow thing that's just on the other side. There'll be a fucking quiver somewhere like on his hip normally, which I don't think he had the time to design. I don't think it would have went well with the the spears and everything. But that is definitely a Scythian skirmisher. And then if we go further down the line, you'll see those weird kite-looking shield things and all that.
Yeah.
Those are fucking I think they're like Parthians, but not quite Parthians. They would have been like Bactrians, but they would have had Parthia back then. There was no Parthia back then. That would have just been like the old Bactrian satrapy. And then if you look further back, you'll see the big long lines of, like, you'll see the weird spear things, like loads of spears up in the sky and all that. That would have been pikemen from like closer to Susa. They would have been proper Persian born. They would have been like not quite the immortal guard, but they would have been local, and they would have been quite effective against anything else in the region at the time.
And much higher ranking than the slave soldiers.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why there'll be a few lines back. Now, it was after the Immortals and after the man.
You dropped out for a second. Oh no, he died.
Oh no.
Oh no, sorry, it's just the tablet decided to go sideways on me. No, it's upward. It's up. But yeah, I was about to say that we obviously can't see the elephants yet because they're so far fucking back. But yeah, those Thracians would have been behind those still. But
now,
yeah, everything about this.
How would they transport?
Accurate as fuck. I love it.
Would they have transported those by boat? Like, how do you transport a fucking elephant to a battle line?
Oh, have you ever heard of? Well, you know Constantinople or Byzantium. See that?
Yeah.
See that little strait there, the Hellespont? It has been forded, and it has been forded with wooden bridge structures in fewer than 2 weeks. And the Persians, with their manpower and the amount of gold they had to pay for all the best engineers and stuff, it really didn't take them long. It really didn't take them long to actually find ways to keep, get stones and all that to the bottom and then build them up almost as if it was a causeway.
Interesting.
Obviously, see the storm. Yeah, and see the storm that wiped out those ships. That broke the bridge. That broke the fording across the Hellespont.
So it could have been much worse for the Spartans if that storm hadn't come through.
Oh yeah, but quite a few other Greek states were kept from helping the Spartans out as well because of the storm, because there was other help meant to be coming from the Ionian parts, and the last city-states on the Anatolian coast on the Aegean Sea on the other side, on the east end, where all the Persians were swelling towards and, close to completely encircling. In fact, they were completely encircling the cities apart from the sea. And because of the storm, a lot of these ships were scuttled. And yeah, it was a big fucking, happening for everybody. And everybody felt it.
Now, the next scene is badass, but it's got to be extremely gratuitous because I'm sure this is not the line that was uttered. But once you see once you start to see the Persian army like rushing to fight, they're called out, and the Spartans are just like, "Come and get it."
Oh yes, Mulan Labe, motherfuckers.
So
Spartans, lay down
Now, is
your
it
weapons.
Moan? Is it Moan Labe or Moan
Yes,
Labe?
yes, yes. Well, actually,
Because I've seen it both ways.
yeah, I know a Macedonian dude who says it's Molon Labe. The way the B is meant to be quite soft, so it's quite a Molon Labe. But it's the way we say it. We're quite Anglo-centric with the way we pronounce stuff. So we would obviously Molon Labe, but Molon Labe is another way. But I'd just say Molon Labe for simplicity. That
come and take
it's the
them.
same thing, and it would just be come and take. Do you know that once see Alexander the Great's dad, Philip the Second, I think it was, the guy from the film that Val Kilmer played. He like when the Spartans said no to joining the Pan Hellenic League, um, Philip the Second sent a fucking letter of like a big angry letter saying like if I send my Macedonians down to Lacedaemon, there will be no Lacedaemon left. And apparently, one Spartan dude, like who all the other Spartans sent, I don't even think he was a king. I don't even think he was like one of the great warriors. He was one of the fellows of the court, one of the lead, one of the lead politicians in Spartan, like lower classes, so to speak. But they sent him anyway to say one word. And do you know what that one word was? F. And then he walked home again.
What was it?
The word?
IF. F.
If.
Oh, if.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He walked from the south of Greece right the way up to Macedonia, like right up past Thessaloniki, right up into Pella.
Did he?
Probably a fair few hundred miles. And all he said was F.
Did he have a wheelbarrow to carry his nuts in?
Apparently not, but all he did after it was walk home again. Like, yeah, I've just done my job. Let's go.
That's fantastic.
It's very Dumb and Dumber, that, isn't it? Going like 500 miles one way and then really like, oh fuck, we actually need to go home now.
That's actually what the "I Would Walk 500 Miles" song is about. They just added that chick shit in there to make it sell.
Yeah, it would need that.
But
It would need nuts that size to do it in.
Oh, I do love that song.
From here we go into to issue 4. And issue 4 is essentially one long fight.
Yeah.
And this is probably the quickest part of the book to get through, but a couple of points I do want to bring up. We'll fight in the shade. We dine in hell. Both of those are directly cut from the book. So those were written in. They weren't added for dramatic effect. Frank Miller really wrote the book to be that badass. And
Exactly. To be fair, even though it's not accurate, I would probably, in Frank Miller's position, put that in as well. Because you really want to put it in? We shall fight in the shade. I mean, it's fucking badass. But to be fair,
yeah,
like they say, this army can drink rivers dry. And another note of mine here is that, see, when Leonidas was talking about Persians having a preference for archery, these dudes wasn't joking. Honestly, like there's a thing about like in Persian, like there's a Persian proverb about to learn first above all things to shoot straight in archery and truth alike. And it's supposed to be something about another one that I'll find later. If we manage to do another show on this, then I'll be prepared for that as well, because there is a particular saying that I'll have to write down and make sure to put on here. But Persians, those dudes, had reflex bows and stuff. Like, so did the Scythians. They were very much akin in this way. And apparently this all goes back to fucking the Yamnaya, the Indo-Aryans, and all of that shit. Like, that it's in their blood. It's like literally in their culture, and it has been for thousands of years by this point of the story. Like, archery is about as natural to them as fucking is to natural born sluts.
Well, and Vedic India as well. Those fuckers were crazy with their archery.
Yeah, especially if they're sitting on top of an elephant. Like, oh, quite a nice little perch here.
And
they used to test the Vedics. They used to test their arrows by shooting them at metal plates that were 2 fingers thick. Because if they could do that, their arrows could pierce the skull of an elephant.
No wonder, because these reflex bows are ridiculous, especially back then.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, right, I'm going to jump forward in the timeline to Roman times, but Marcus Crassus, the richest man in all of Rome, Julius Caesar's buddy old pal, took a fucking about 3 legions to Parthia. By this point, taking the mantle for Persia. By this point, I would say Alexander the Great fucking killed them all, but Parthians took up this Persian mantle, and they were doing quite well, and they somehow managed to trick Marcus Crassus out into the desert, and these Parthians, with only horse archers, slaughtered 3 entire fucking legions.
Now,
jeez.
Now, Marcus Crassus.
Yeah, archery ain't no fucking joke in the East, man.
That's a name that I heard in Spartacus for the first time when I watched that show, which actually I thought was pretty good. I enjoyed Spartacus. He was a.
Did you? I liked it.
Yeah, he was a what do you call a socialite, an elite. He was he had slaves for the gladiatory arenas and shit.
He was the Donald Trump of the ancient world. He was great. Here's my case. Real estate master, so was Crassus. He had the bricks, he had the mortar, he owned the bricks, he owned the mortar, he owned the land that he built with the bricks and the mortar, and he owned the rights to build on the land with the bricks and the mortar.
I mean, yeah.
This dude was richer than Setson. With this land and with the bricks and the mortar, he'd rent out the houses, or he'd lease them and such like that. He'd sell them. He'd make money on the land with the bricks and the mortar that he owns the rights to the bricks and the mortar on the land with the bricks and the mortar. Like Marcus Crassus was a fucking genius, man. Not only that, some of these places he'd have whorehouses. He was. Oh, man, the guy was rich. This guy was filthy rich, and he did everything was above board. Everything was going according to imperial law, and that's how it's supposed to be.
I can dig it.
Yeah. So.
But he died with legions. He died with 3 legions. Like, the only person to really, truly fuck up that badly after that was fucking... Licinius Quintilius Varus. Let's just get back to the Greek stuff before I get too pissed off.
I was gonna say we gotta finish at least these last 2 issues, but the 4th issue, like I said, it's really just one long fight. Now we see that the raining of arrows happened, and for some reason it depicts that more Persians died. Well, I mean, I'm sure that that's somewhat accurate, but more Persians died to their own arrows than Greeks. And they even make note that if they run out of spears, they'll pull them from the hands of dead Persians.
That was actually policy. That was the policy that the Spartans gave to all the Greeks. All the other Greeks, because the Spartans had better access to hardwood and able to, give it a varnish that would keep it solid. But that was the policy to the rest of the Greeks. Like, look, if yours snap, which they most certainly will, you better start snatching them from the corpses that you start stomping over.
Yeah, and you see some depictions here of the phalanx formation that they use to just kind of drill through the enemies and chew through them like a buzzsaw, which was strategically a brilliant maneuver. I mean, basically turtle up and just chew through your enemies. I mean, if they can't get you, they might scrape your shoulder, they might cut your leg, but they can't kill you, so you keep going.
Certainly, and with their ability to just like stomp over all the corpses as they go, because if you're winning and you're not even losing a single man in your part of the formation, you're gonna gain some momentum, and you're just gonna keep on pushing and pushing. Especially if a lot of you guys have got really crazy fucking strength. The guy behind you could be crazy strong. The guy in front of you could be crazy strong, and they could be both screaming to each other, "Let's fucking go!"
Oh yeah. So this, I feel like, was the most exciting part of the book. Like, it's what people waited 3 issues to get to. So if this was released monthly, this is when it got good.
Yes.
There's not a whole lot historically I have questions about here, except for the fact that did none of the Greeks use bows either?
Not too many of them. They had a preference for using throwing spears and slings.
Interesting. And I feel like a sling would have been an ineffective weapon
There
against
was
this
a
many
lot of
enemies.
lead. There was a lot of lead lying around. Like I said, there was a lot of lead lying around, like in Greek land. Rocky ground. You just pick that up. However, there was archers in Greece. There's no denying that. But those that were at Thermopylae and those who were mainly in armed forces at the time would only adopt a throwing spear and a sling.
Okay. I mean, that kind of answers my question. That was the only thing that kind of confused me, is that normally I would assume you would send archers against archers, but then we get to the introduction of Xerxes, and I've got to say, whoever cast the man that they had in the movie did a phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
For I am kind.
Now, how accurate was this, though? Because I have a hard time believing anyone would take someone that looked like this seriously. That's just me.
Well, he didn't. He didn't have all those fucking facial piercings. Like, holy fuck. He looked like he was ready to step on set for a Skunk Anansi music video. Like, holy shit, son, get that off your fucking nose.
Yeah, basically, you piss somebody off in the middle of a conversation, and suddenly you have three open holes in your face because they just hooked and pulled. That just seems stupid.
And there ain't no ooga booga shot.
Like the wearing gold in every form possible. I mean, I know cloth of gold is a thing. I know that a lot of these people would adorn themselves as such. You see that he's got his group of servants carrying his, what is this called? A litany? Not a litter. It's a chair of some sort. What they call it, like a sedan chair or something.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it is, he wouldn't have had that. He would have had his own personal horse.
Okay. Now, did
And
Xerxes?
they would have been lavish with them, but they would have only had X amount of stuff available to them, on campaign. If it was like, let's say, Leonidas taking it to the Persians on Persian soil, he probably would have rocked up in something maybe half that size.
Okay. So this is again for dramatic effect, and gold is dense, therefore heavy. Yeah. Cloth of gold, I can see, and I can definitely see adorning yourself with jewelry as a show. Now, did Xerxes actually style himself as a god on Earth? Did Xerxes actually style himself as a god on Earth in historical times?
Actually, that's hereditary. That goes
Really?
back as far as Cyrus the Great. From the moment he overtook the Neo-Babylonian Empire, he walked through the Hanging Gardens and laid waste to all of it. And it was then that his men proclaimed him the Shah of Shahs, like the Shah Khan Shah, the King of Kings. And then, the whole God thing came about when he decided to name all the temples, like remove all signs of Mithra and replace it with Zoroaster, Ahura Mazda, the Zoroastrian god of the Persians then. And that's what made him the God King, because he was the closest thing that the Persians had to a god then, because he brought their god to the world around them. He gave their god a temple, and his brood, his descendants would be all considered god kings after that. The Achaemenids were seriously followed, like devotedly, by all the people around him for that. And yeah, that's like that. That's hereditary.
Interesting. All right. So
Well, and because in the ancient world at that time, the Babylonian god, was it Baal, however you say it?
yeah,
Like it
Oh,
was
that
was
he was the
supposed to be like,
Canaanite god anyway.
yeah, he was supposed to be like the
Oh yeah, you're thinking
badass god or
Marduk and
whatever.
all that. Yeah.
So after the Persians defeated the Babylonians, they were like, oh well, I guess our leader is more god than their god. Is essentially how
Okay.
they came to that conclusion, right?
Yeah, pretty much, and actually, it was the defeating all the Babylonians and burning all the natural wonders made him the king of kings, made him the Shah and Shah, the first Shah and Shah. But what made him the God King was putting idols of Zoroaster in place of the old idols that were in the temples to Mithra or Marduk at the time. Replaced all and pulled them all. Inanna went. Enki gone. All of them, all of these fucking old like Babylonian, Sumerian, crossovers, all these Assyrian god temples, they all got fucking all that gold got launched out, and all these idols to Zoroaster, that human head on the wings of a griffin kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's got the weird thing. Yeah, that whole thing. That like each and every like it was replicated countless times, and they just put it all over in every single temple in Mesopotamia. That's what made him the God King, putting the idols in the temples of the old idols. That's
so
what made him the God King.
now one thing that kind of stood out to me is, and I don't know if I don't remember the movie as well. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but at least in the book, their introduction of Leonidas to Xerxes is just so nonchalant. I fucking chuckled. He's just sitting there
Yeah,
eating.
that's a good thing about Spartans when they're dealing with foreigners. They have been known on occasion to meet them in the middle, but still try to remain laconic. To at least learn a bit about their enemy. Like say like who exactly
Right.
are we dealing with here? Like yeah, I want to see this guy. Like fuck it. And like, obviously he'll ask his advisors, and they'll say like being a Spartan in the back, fucking date Leonidas. Like go for it. Let's see who this cunt's all about. It's looking pretty spacey. Yes, mate. Like but still, man, let's see what's going on.
Well, in the story, it's shown that he was even pleasant with the envoys from Persia until they got a little too big for their own britches and started making threats. And I mean, you don't make threats to
Because that's
Spartans
the
in the
thing
middle
about
of Sparta.
Spartans. Oh, exactly. Not on their home turf, and especially when they were so known for their hospitality, which actually goes right back to their Doric. Well, who came? Yeah, basically they have old ancient Scythian roots of their own. The Dorics and the Spartan Dorics and stuff like that. It's quite random. Leonidas' breed. It's a mishmash of all sorts of things, and I'm quite surprised they still have him looking like that. Because I'm certain that Leonidas would have had sort of lighter brown hair, and his eyes would have been fucking quite blue or green, quite European-esque, and he would have been quite fucking chunky. I'm not saying he would have looked like a fucking ideal SS soldier, but I'm saying that he would have definitely looked a little bit more closer to the fucking, Eurasian steppe.
Right. Now, after this meeting, comes another type of battle here, but wrong one. this is where we're introduced to the immortals, and you touched on them earlier. Now, these are Persian born.
Yes, and they're usually from Persian, nobility families. It's like if you're like low on the line of succession for your father's satrapy, like if you're like the fifth son down, and you want to prove yourself to the family, like to really give your family some prestige and some boasting rights at the family dinners. You would have dreams about becoming an immortal of the immortal guard that everybody they had fought up until the Spartans had fucking like folded like fucking lawn chairs as well. And although they're more horror depicted in this way, they didn't file their teeth in, but their armor at the time, all through the years, it was known to be quite hench. Now I feel like I've let myself down and not looking for like cool images of what the Persian immortals looked like back then, but they had cool war masks apparently, but the faces under them were very much Arab looking dudes, like fuck Persian.
Right. Let's see.
I was expecting a lizard dude, but it was just a fucking angry Persian dude. Fuck, kill.
So let's see here. Here's an image here. Let's copy this. Let's bring it up on stage. Let's see if you feel like this is fairly accurate or not.
Let's do it.
We gotta wait for the stream to catch up.
Yeah, it looks like he has. It almost looks like a gnome.
I'm like, holy shit, man.
Stupid delay.
I'm waiting. This delay is fucking killing me. Hold on a second. I'm in Brit Bong land.
Yeah, definitely looks like a gnome.
Yes, that does look quite peculiar, but I'd say most of that is accurate apart from that mask. However, there could have been a couple that looked like that, but a few of them looked a little bit more fantastical. A few of them had the faces that would look like eternally younger, if you know what I mean. Like it would look like a young lad, but the dude under it would have like the big beard. So who knows? That might be a little bit of role reversal in that one. The helmet thing, like at the top, yeah, that is quite indicative of the time. Like there was some spearmen in the Greek states that had weird helmets like that. So some dudes did look like gnomes. And if you were to play, say, Rome, like Total War Rome 2, you'll notice that a few of the spearmen or pike troops will, like from the Greek kingdoms, like fucking Epirus or like Ptolemaic Egypt, they all have like weird gnome hats and stuff. It was quite a wild time.
Huh. Yeah, it seems like 300 did a number on the idea of the immortals. Like the design for that mask is pretty much.
Gnome.
Yeah, the design for the immortal mask in the 300 movie is basically what you see the majority of the time when you look for it. Now they do show that the immortals weren't a very heavily armored class. They would wear some armor, but most of it would have
for the time.
Most of it would have been like leather or just heavy padded armor, but not a lot of metal armor like you see the true Spartans wearing their bronze.
Yeah, see, the thing is about the layering and the way these units were using their armaments back then. Right, for instance, look at the Hoplon shield, especially the Spartan one. It would have been first up. It would have been wooden with leather fittings to fit your arm through, and over that wooden carved like circular thing, it would have been bronze all over cast over the top, so there would have been a layer, and there you would have seen like you said the overlap, the lippy bit, and then up the sticky out bit, the rim, and it was also the similar way for Spartan armor as well. Before like under that breastplate, that there would be leather. It would like be fitted so it would be able to slip on and slip off with much relative ease.
Right.
The
Cut down
Persians had
on
this whole
chafing.
weave system.
Cut down on chafing and things like
Yeah,
that. Yeah. So
exactly. And the
they
Persians, they had a cool method. They had mostly like a hardened, like thick leather, and what they would do is, but you know how you see like the segmentata of the Romans, you know how it'd be overlapping and little, in little medallion-shaped bits of metal. They would just be overlapping, tiny, like scaling,
yeah,
like
Yeah.
scaling.
scale
They
mail.
would have that in small bits. Yeah, basically like that. But they would have the Persians would have that over the leather at the front of it, So it'd be
Right.
another layer on top of the leather. It didn't prove too effective against Spartan shields because Spartans found the gaps.
Right. And I think the problem is from what I understand, and again, it's nowhere near what you do, but the Immortals, while they were a fearsome fighting, like a fearsome force to fight against, they were more, you know, almost assassin-like than actual warriors. Uh, I,
Yeah, they'd be more because they were paid professionally. They had a specific, set of training. They were only meant for fighting against a specific unit. You got a certain mid-tier spear unit that are only good up against like a specific kind of horse unit. That
right.
kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, mid tier, just mid top tier. Like you just put like speared and shieldmen up against halberdiers. The halberdiers are gonna smash through those shields and the helmets behind them. Like they could like the hammer met the anvil.
But the reason I say that is because these were the quote unquote God King's personal guard. So one of their rank would be the ones you dispatch to quell dissent, to shut somebody up from trying to rise up against
Exactly.
you.
That was their main. Yeah, they like especially in terms for Persians. They had an empire that stretched quite many hundreds and thousands of miles and stuff. Like lots of many different principalities and kingdoms and tribal lands and feudal, especially the Aracosian Hills. I think it's right. I may have to research that, but there like by the time Alexander the Great conquered Persia, there was still a mountain region that the Persians had left unconquered, a feudal fucking clan region that the Persians thought, they're just a little bit extra. Let's just go around them, please.
So those fuckers were so crazy that even the Persians like, nah, we're just gonna leave them alone.
now,
Pretty much. Pretty much.
now, one of the cool things here is when the Immortals meet the Spartans use the wall of dead Persians as a weapon against the Immortals.
Yeah, but it was burning at the time in reality.
Oh, nice, lovely, and
That makes it so much worse.
yeah. So
Yeah, I can see where Zack Snyder, who made the movie, I can see where he may have avoided setting their bodies on fire before.
well, they did. The bodies weren't burning in the books either. So
No, true. But somehow something tells me that both Frank Miller and Zack Snyder knew this fact. I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that they knew this fact. And just thought, you know what, we're just gonna go ahead and gloss over it and just say the bodies themselves just fine rotten. That's pretty extra itself. We don't need to put them on fire or anything. That's just way too much of a budget. Let's just go ahead and just push them on them, Because I don't want to like fucking get all sorts of fucking crazy fucking letters saying why did you have to light them on fire? That was just needless. That's just cruelty.
nah, man, it strikes fear into the hearts of the enemies. We're gonna do it. Um,
Damn right.
but here's
Burn, baby, burn. Still going further.
here's I think it was day 2 or 3 when the elephant showed up, and the Spartans even somehow withstood the elephants. Now,
Yeah, see that scene in the movie where you had that cool, like, fucking spear throw.
yeah,
Yeah, imagine that, but everybody's doing it on the fucking Greek side.
yeah. And again, I think they're a misnomer. It was 300 Spartans, but as we've discussed, there were 7,000 ish Greeks at
Yeah,
the battle on the walkabout with Leonidas. That wasn't actually a war. Um,
yeah. Yeah, and see, after they all threw their own spears, that was when the advice, the early advice to see when you lose your spear or if you break your spear, which is eventually going to happen, you're going to need to pick up an enemy spear and fucking use that. That advice kicked in like a fucking freight train. Like, see that whole line and everybody behind, as soon as they chuck the first spear, they go, ah, fuck, pull the spears out of the corpse, you go, like, fuck, chucking it, fucking it, like, oh, fuck, was still alive, fucking die, right, there we go, throw that now, fuck.
well, the thing that I've noticed, and the thing that you've confirmed from your knowledge of the actual battle, the Spartans were a resourceful bunch. They didn't let shit on the battlefield go to waste. They would clean up the dead bodies, probably pluck it for armor and shields and spears for people that needed them. They would definitely probably keep everything that they could use, and then they'd use the
Yeah,
bodies against their enemies.
exactly. And see, in some, like, mind when I told you about the Cryptea, the dudes that would go and like go on solo missions ordered by fucking their bosses at the Cryptea fucking Brotherhood.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. See those dudes that would go on killing sprees solo. Like, see those dudes, they would have fun with these bodies and like start putting like fucking like spears with fucking Persian heads on them and leaving them outside at the camp and stuff. Like Whistler, like running away and just seeing if the Persian guard sees a fucking a Persian head on a stick like that. They'd be doing this for the first couple of nights. And honestly, they would be seriously fucking with the Persian morale, like that. Like they had no qualms with that shit.
hmm. It reminds me of that Russian, the White Death. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's where Vlad the Impaler got his inspiration from.
Well,
Actually, he just really hated Turks. He just wanted to see them on sticks.
yeah, yeah. Vlad the Impaler was his own inspiration. Don't take that away from him. He hated the aristocratic class. He was definitely a commie. Um, but anyway, this
Oh hell no!
I know. I'm just fucking around. I know he wasn't actually a commie.
Oh, you're gonna get Novelbro
Calm down,
going on
Novelbro.
another tirade.
He came from
It's all right,
commie
I'll just have
country, and it was about the aristocrat joke. But
Oh, of course. We
um,
need to stay in Susan's good books.
but yeah, that was like the second day where they battled the elephants, and then Delios lost an eye in the battle. Uh, this is this is where they find out that the goat path had been I don't know, betrayed, so to speak.
The
And
timing works out.
he like again, all of this happened over 3 days. Like this wasn't a
Yeah.
long campaign, but in 3 days, 7,000 men killed roughly 65, 70,000 Persians.
Yep, and see, battles in those days, they were known to go for quite a fair bit longer as well. Like, sometimes these battles would go on for about a week until, both sides were, down for giving up. Because remember, Greek formation up against Greek formation, it would be tough to get some spears through there. Those battles would be grueling on for days with maybe only, 4 or 5 deaths sometimes on one day, on
Yeah.
either side. And they'd be like, fucking hell, who won that? I fucking don't know. I'm covered in muck, covered in my own sweat, covered in blood. I don't even know who the fuck it is. All I know is that fucking nobody won anything today. Well, we're just going to do it again tomorrow.
Actually, Ayrton, correction, I see on Twitter here. Want to hold on one second. You guys go ahead. To cover
Okay.
further.
Did we not cover that last night?
We talked about it, but we didn't actually cover it. I wanted
Okay.
to kind of get some insight on it.
Huh.
Oh,
Oh,
gotcha.
well, in any case, there was
Anyways.
one, you know how I was talking about the Thracians earlier? You know how Leonidas seems to call Thracians the was it the glorious and net, or the ones that weren't so good, the Thracians. You know how in my notes, like, never doubt a Thracian, Leo. They're bigger than you, they're stronger than you, and they have genetics that will outlive your nation. Yeah, that is actually a legit thing. Like, Thracians were known to be ridiculously tall, ridiculously strong. They'd be like your fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger type of the ancient Greek world, because they were close to, like, old, like, nomadic blood, and they all had, because they fucking had these sorts of genetics in them. They were very well sought after for wars and such. And it just seems to me like, I know Spartans were really hardy dudes. Like, it just seems to me like it would be stupid of a Spartan to tempt a fight against somebody fucking that's much bigger and harder than them. People that are used to working the land, like, see, farmers. Like, you don't want, like, an old soldier to go against a farmer of the old world, because they've been working the land with their hands. They're fucking super strong. The same with, like, the archers of the old world. Like, see, medieval archers. People have this sort of misconception that they're not very capable of much. But see the English longbowmen of the old age. These dudes were meant to be big and super strong. It would take serious strength to fucking draw that bow and fucking use it across at Frenchmen like that. And honestly, these dudes could easily just pull out a sword and defend themselves against the spearman with the sword, because they would easily try and use their strength to their advantage. The same would go for Thracians.
Right, because I mean, today's recreation English longbows get up to 100, maybe 120-pound draw weight, whereas back then you were looking at like that would be like your training bows back in these days. You're looking like 180, 210 draw weight for a bow and arrow.
Oh, aye, and this is assuming that they didn't make bows with stronger wood, something that with even more resistance,
Yeah.
Right, and with the longbows, you get, depending on how far, versus like today's modern like recurve bows, like a longbow, the farther you draw it back, you can get more power out of it.
Crazy.
Depending on where you draw it to as well.
Now,
exactly. No wonder they were so effective in Agincourt.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I wanted to bring up here, and we briefly touched on this about the Delios thing. This is where Leonidas basically sends the rest of the Greeks home to ready the rest of Greece for a war. And he sent Delios back to tell the story of the 300 Spartans that gave their life to buy Greece time. So
yeah, now he had the pretense for like, the excuse that he would give was, right, we could see Delios is in a bit of bad shape. He won't be able to see all the way home. He's going to need a couple of pals to help him back, because you're going to need to tell the people what happened here today. Right. And that's when, the three of them like, no, we want to die with you. No. Because truth be told, Delios and the other two were the youngest of the men there. And, of all the guard, they were the ones that didn't have any sons yet.
Right.
So Leonidas thought he was doing them a favor. And he thought that people would understand, but that was incredibly short-sighted on Leonidas' thingy. Because there was supposed to be some sort of, I remember, because there was a message that he was supposed to send back, but apparently it got swapped out for a blank, and nobody knows if the message ever did really truly get to them, or if it had been swapped out. But the way history tells it was that the real scroll may have been swapped out for a blank one and burned.
Well,
and that was supposed to be Leonidas' letter vouching for the three of them.
Now, the end of this story, it kind of calls back to the training of the makeshift spear and the wolf, and Leonidas is confronted with the standing force of the army. He knows that by the end of this battle, no matter how many Persians they kill, they'll all be dead essentially. So
Yeah, because Leonidas sees it, and again, the leader of the Black Guard, the Thespiae, sees it. Like they know that they're gonna be up against, like, because the elephants are done now. They know that they're gonna have other Greeks thrown at them, and because they've got Thracians, like back at that time, the Thracians were considered like huge, wild, and completely fucking untamable, only sought after as potential allies in war if they were to be thrown against you. Like I said, they had some Thracians and the army, but in the Greek army, but those Thracians ended up deciding to, when they were going away with the rest of the contingent, they decided to go to Athens to try and, appeal to the next most powerful nation. But like the most of the Thracians that saw the all of those persons and all they had with them, just they saw the sheer numbers of them. The big Thracian dudes thought, "Oh fuck, right, what did you say you want? Okay, I'll be on your side on this occasion because I really don't like the alternative because it could mean a lot of burned lands and a lot of dead bodies that you don't want."
well, this is the final badass scene in the book. I think the rest of it just I'll clean up. So we'll probably wind it down here. But I do want to ask a couple questions about the aftermath and the ensuing war between Greece and Persia. But in this scene, Leonidas approaches the standing army, and he acts as though he's going to submit. He throws his shield and his helmet to the ground, but he doesn't let go of his spear. Or no, he lets go of his spear. He kneels, and then he calls for one of his commanders, Stelios, to just murder the guard basically in front of him. He picks his spear up and then just chunks it right at Xerxes. Now I'm guessing there's no way to verify that this ever actually happened.
Yeah, I can't verify that either. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I can't verify it because it is, let's just say, still relatively contested. But there may have been more, if there had been an attempt on Xerxes' life, we are absolutely sure that there would have been more than one, but we cannot track exactly when those attempts would have been, or if there had been any, like, like established failures that resulted in, stopping the Spartans from trying again. But they believe like there would have been at least one attempt on the second night. The night that I was telling you about with the heads on the sticks.
Yeah.
Like there may, if there had been any time for attempting any such assassination attempts, it would have been while the fuckery was going down.
Okay. So,
Oh.
and again, I guess that it probably speaks to the fact that the guy that he sent back, they literally said he was a storyteller. That was his job, was to tell stories and weave the web of interesting with fact to keep the people interested, so to speak. Now,
Exactly. Great storytelling too. It is. You've got to have somebody narrating and telling the story as that is. But if there was somebody telling the story to the 50,000 Greeks, it would not have been Delius. It probably would have been one of the surviving Black Despot guards, or it probably would have been the leader of the Black Despot. Because yeah, he was the one dude that really understood Leonidas and that whole entire thing. I think there is something to be told, like something telepathic there that they knew. They didn't say fuck all to each other about it. They didn't say nothing to each other. All they did was look across to each other and then look right back to their own fucking men. But they knew. But apparently, this was reported by those who survived. Like the fact they kept on understanding. Anytime else was shouting, the only ones that were quiet for those two.
Okay.
You know, like I said, when they were all celebrating with the ships,
Right.
everybody noticed that the only ones that weren't talking were Leonidas and the leader of the Black Death. But I really feel like a shitty cunt for not remembering his name. But fuck it.
You're doing better than we are. Now, what was the aftermath in kind of a quick wrap up fashion? We don't really have time to go the
Right.
full
What the Persians would have,
right because of did
yeah,
the
what the Persians did after that.
yeah
Yeah, like the Persians did get a little bit murder happy after this. It did take a while before Greece could answer back. So yeah, there was a couple more months of the washing tide of Persia, because when shit was getting a bit fucked up on land. Obviously, after the last stand of the Spartans, they wintered in Greece, and while at that, then the spring came. Then after that, the violence started again, but they had more ships and more access to the Greek islands, and yeah, Rhodos was eventually destroyed. If the storm didn't get it, the Persians eventually would. And then eventually the answer came back. It would take some amount of time and some amount of, let's call it, naval gymnastics to get all the right Greeks in the right place, so to speak. But yeah, eventually there was an answer, and eventually Xerxes had to pull back. And yeah, even though Xerxes' wife and child were kept alive, Xerxes himself was murdered by his own guards.
really and that was
Yeah,
uncommon.
that's a habit.
That was an uncommon thing to happen, right? Like, I mean, these people were literally
Oh
revered as
yeah, yeah.
God among men. So
Yeah, absolutely. That was with the whole thing about where they will know even a god king can bleed, because yeah, it was the god king's own people that made him bleed. Like say, like, you're no longer fit to be the god king. Your son will be the god king after you. And that would be Darius the first. It would either be Darius the first or Khosrow the first. I'm not too sure which one, but it's one of those two. Because there would be a Khosrow the second that would eventually take the name of the old Achaemenid name, but he was Sassanid, and that's way later in the timeline. But yeah, Khosrow the first, and then it would be Darius the first. And Darius the second would be Darius the Great, and that Darius would be the one that lost to Alexander the Great, who was also killed by his own guards.
huh. I guess that's why people stopped, warmongering like they did back then. Or it didn't seem to work out for anybody
Yeah,
too well.
yeah, and Alexander fucked his bitch, and his bitch wanted it. His bitch even married him. Like, yeah, let's marry together. You could become the emperor of Greece and Persia. Fuck it, your son will be a legend, even though the son and she would be murdered. But that's
Yeah,
another thing. A lot of murder in those days. A lot of murder.
yeah. It wasn't as frowned upon back then. Like if you had a good reason to kill somebody, they needed killing was definitely more of an acceptable
Yeah,
defense.
yeah, and you were basically putting your life on the line as soon as you say it, like, "Oh, my son is a king. He will vie for the throne, even though he's still sucking on my boob."
Yeah, yeah. That never works out too well. God, I'm sorry. I just saw Poe's Law on Twitter. Never look at Poe's Law on Twitter.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you see my exchange with them on Twitter?
I did. Uh, Definitely, if you want to keep your dinner down, don't follow Poe's Law on Twitter. But you should follow Poe's Law on Twitter. He's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you want me to tell you what happened to Sparta before they decided to side with Persia and stuff like that?
yeah,
They had a hellish uprising. Yeah. Because believe it or not, helots. You remember back in the old, the Trojan War when Menelaus and King Nestor were always at each other's throats. Do you know who Nestor was the king of?
Hmm.
Messenia. Messenia was the old kingdom of the Helots before they became serfs. The Spartans eventually said, you know what, Nestor? Fuck you, mate. Fuck your nagging. Fuck you and everything you represent. Your people are now mine. See this little corner here of what IKEA, whatever you want to fucking call it. It is mine now. Fuck you, it's mine. That's how they became Helots. But anyway, the Helot uprising was basically them trying to reclaim Messenia because the story of Talos, the great warrior King Talos would rise again from the grave from his tomb, and apparently there was a Helot who wore the same fucking armor, had the same bow, which was meant to be some sort of bow of fucking destiny because it was made from a fucking elephant fucking tusk or something. It would only work because it would take fucking strength. Like how I was mentioning the English longbowmen, how a lot of there was a lot to do with because we didn't have the methods we had now, so we couldn't overuse everything, so many bows had to be remade. But in essence, they would have to, like when they showed up to the battlefield, they would have to string the bow right there on the spot, and they'd have to be able to do it quickly and with a bit of fucking strength as well. So that was a bit of training on its own. But the similar method was apparently known for this sort of bow of destiny for the king of Messenia. This Talos come again, as apparently Talos had a little weak spot at the back of his fucking knee, and it made him easy for him to be defeated. And apparently, like the sword that he had, he tried to win over the battle by winning favor of the gods by sacrificing his wife, like with this sword, but it all went wrong, and apparently fucking this is why the Messenians stayed away from it. But when this hell uprising happened, and this dude had the helmet, the fucking cuirass, he had the greaves, he had the sword, he had the fucking bow, he had fucking everything. But apparently, the Spartans still fucked him up.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just what they do. They fuck shit up. That's their job.
Oh, aye, the Hellas were trying to do well. They use slings, arrows, spears on them, but Spartans were like, hey, we just come out of a war with the Persians. We've got a bit. All of our generations have got a bit of battle experience. We're probably going to be the hardest Spartans you're ever going to be likely to face for a while, for maybe a couple of 100 years. Yeah. Oh, Peloponnesian War, maybe not.
Well, basically, before we get too far, I did want to thank you first off for coming on and reviewing this with us. I wanted to look at it from a historical perspective because this is supposedly based on loosely on true events, and like we said, there are certain parts of it that were added for dramatic flair, but for the most
Yeah, but
part,
I still like that.
yeah, for the most part, I feel like it does its job in raising interest in the actual story.
Yeah, I'd say it's a bloody good homage, so to speak. Like, yeah, if you want to go poetic about like how badass these guys were, I'd probably go Frank Miller on it as well. Let's be honest, all of us would. If you wanted to make a badass action movie out of it, or make a badass comic book that you would hope would one day become a cool as fuck movie, you'd do that. You'd say, fuck the breastplates, but have their chests out, make it that they're even fucking harder to fucking kill, despite the fact that they've no fucking breastplate on. Shows
Right.
how fucking tough these boys are. Shows how vulnerable they are, yet they still fight on. These cunts have no fucking qualms with doing this. I like the way they tell it. How they make these Spartans to be badass, because they basically were. Look, being laconic was more than just speaking a few words. It was being the few words. Being the guy.
Yeah. And all in all, I feel like as far as the movie goes, they did a good job telling the story in the book. Um, Most of the things that people didn't end up liking were things that actually never happened in the book, though.
Yeah. Speaking about fucking the book in 300 in general. You remember that scene where Xerxes brings Ephialtes into that crazy fucking orgy thing, and you've got these mad amputee chicks and chicks with mad fucking disfigured faces, and like you can have it all. And I mean, if I was Ephialtes in that situation, I'd be like, can you do it better, man? Because this is a bit fucking freaky, dude.
Yeah, no shit. Can you just like, can we open a blind in this tent? Like, it's a little too dark in here. I don't know why you're burning incense. Why are you taking your pants off? Please put your pants back on. I don't want it all if that's part of it. Please, I don't want that part. Please, no. But
Why does she have 3 boobs? She doesn't need 3 boobs. They're not watching fucking Total Recall. This shouldn't be like.
Excuse me there. Come on, you're saying you wouldn't motorboat a chick that had 3 tits?
And ladies and gentlemen,
I think if you reach into the slamming there.
here it is. Here is where the show inevitably gets derailed, and I have no more control.
Because I would dive head first off of a high dive into
yeah, and let's
3
be
tits
honest.
right there.
Let's be honest. Like real Xerxes would have had all the bitches from the Syrian risky-looking ladies, right the way over to the Indian ladies, right the way down to the Persians would have had African hooers because North African Berber ladies and even some of the Ethiopian ladies were very well versed in these arts, whatever we call them.
Ayrton,
and
real quick,
just have the money.
Real quick.
You're fired.
God damn it! All right, here's my badge and my gun.
He just left.
You're wrong.
Oh, he actually left. But son of a bitch, get back in here. Just because you're fired doesn't mean you can leave.
Uniquely won.
Oh shit.
3 boobs raw.
Oh Jesus, that was good. I didn't expect him to actually leave. That was great.
Like I'm out. Fuck this.
Okay.
Yeah, he's back.
He
You're
is.
wrong.
I forgot my pants, so I might as well just stay around to the last couple minutes till the end of the show.
And his name is John Cena!
It hung up for a minute. I was trying to get that as soon as you came back, but anyway. No, I enjoyed this. Like I said, we'll have to look at Mouse probably over on D Live or BitChute. Just because I don't want to.
Stream.me or
Stream.me doesn't exist anymore, Aaron.
Exactly.
Oh no.
We can't get banned.
That's true.
What about BitChute?
Well, if they ever implement streaming, we'll do it over there, but it'll be a little while
Live
before.
league.
Yeah. We could always keep archive our spicier stuff on there as well.
We could do Pornhub.
Live league, fans only.
A fucking great idea. That's a fucking great idea.
Listen,
I bet people would. We'd probably get the most live viewers ever if we did it on Pornhub.
We could put all the tags on it, like interracial, BBC.
No. Here, I'm gonna put this in the live show chat, but I'm not gonna say it out loud. But this is what we should call the video. Scott.
Oh no. My ears are burning. I think Susan's watching. I think she's getting a bit mad. Like, I don't care, Susan. Pay what you owe.
That's what we title it.
Pay what you owe. Oh, I'm pretty sure there is a tag on Pornhub called blackmail. So you know, I'm gonna.
That's right. That's right. Well, on that note, folks, thank you for hanging out, and we hope you found this entertaining and informative. We'll do this again on YouTube with other historical titles that are not mouse.
Yeah,
Um,
man, 100%. Honestly, if you find anything on the Romans, I will be all over that shit like a rash. Or anything with Vikings in it as well, I'll be all over that.
I'll have to take a look. I don't know how many stories are like this. Like typically, if Frank Miller does it, a lot of people shy away from it because, well, they just know they're not going to be as good.
This is true. This is true. Not unless it's something that really entertains us, eh? Like
Yeah.
if it's something that really screams out at us, that works. Like, hey, mouse was a fucking killer idea, but it's just fucking spicy.
Well, you're a little spicy. I think that's what we're getting at here. It's not the book itself. The book's pretty tame. But we can't have you coming on here hailing the catsies, okay?
Ah.
Cat Hitler did nothing
Ah.
wrong. Anyway,
Hey. They built the trains to fucking Jerusalem or whatever, you know.
oh yeah,
We helped them invent Israel, you know.
the Holocausters and all. Yeah, I remember. I was there. I was there for the heel stream.
Speaking of
Anyway,
which, apparently there's a game called Holocauster. I'm not joking. If you can go on
Wait, what?
YouTube, it's there. Honestly.
you know, I actually did see a design that someone built a euphemism like not a euphemism, a euthanasia roller coaster that was designed to use G-force to basically kill you as you rode it before you got through the ride.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
That's a cool way to die, though.
I think I can pull that up. Yeah. Let's see if I can find the image for it. Yeah. Oh no, that's a shit image. Come on, do me better. There we go. Yeah, did they actually build it? Did they actually build it? Holy shit!
What?
That's not what I'm looking at.
Wait, what? What?
Hold on.
IRL? What?
There's a wiki for the Holocauster.
Yeah, we'll go with this one.
Post the link in the show chat.
I'm not pulling that up on. I'll look at it, but I'm not pulling that up.
Before I say anything, I will give credit to Captain Weeb and the dumpster fire for finding this before me. I was watching, I was like, hold on a minute, there's an actual Holocaust there? Like, holy.
It's just one paragraph description, but God, this is fucking hilarious.
I'm not pulling that up on stream. Not happening. But
I don't know if I can read a little of it. I posted the link in the show chat.
the euthanasia coaster is an amusement park ride designed to kill you.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. I'd like to pay for a ticket, please.
I want two. I'm playing the odds today. No, man, two for me. I'm playing the odds today.
You're getting both seats today.
I don't believe you can do it.
I like it. Damn, I was feeling like I'm shooting into space. Only there's no airlock to shoot my body out of. I just get picked up by the rider to the. Yep, this one.
Yeah, there's the image for those. It basically is just a series of smaller loops that apparently just fucking G-force your ass to death. So
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But that
Suicide is badass.
I don't know how I feel about the fact that, they actually created this in virtual reality. It's gone too far, guys. It's gone too far. But
I can dig it.
No, it's only killing avatars until it's IRL.
well, I don't know until they connect your brain matter and all that shit. But anyway, it's a little after midnight. We gotta some. I'm pretty sure most of us have to go to work tomorrow. I'm not sure if Novelbro does, but I'm pretty sure Ayrton and I both do.
Yeah,
Yes, I do.
You know, I'm going to go and do after this. I'm going to shower. I'm going to have a second breakfast like Lord of the Rings,
That's correct.
and I'm going to be putting my work clothes on.
Okay. All right.
So yeah,
All
I'm on my way to go and start my shift.
All right. Well, damn. Well, we definitely appreciate it, man, and we will look forward to finding something to have you back on for. And as always,
Naturally, anytime.
as always, we definitely appreciate everybody who came by and watched. Holy shit! I feel like the likes went down on the show. I'm not sure. Could be wrong. Could just be YouTube fucking with me. I appreciate it, man, and we will.
Oh, I just slipped on. I like myself, so there you go.
All right. Well, anyway, I appreciate it, guys. You guys thanks for hanging out. Come back, and we will probably be on tomorrow. I'm trying to get Mint Salad and Riley on to talk about comic strips. So
Nice.
Nice one, man.
but anyway, thank you, Ayrton. Thank you, Novelbro. You guys,
Like,
you guys have a good evening, and Ayrton, you know what you have to do.
Good night, everybody.
Put your pants on and get the fuck out.